Okay, let's see.
And cucumber, plum, pear, and papaya, aubergine and soya, lime, lentils, and quinoa, oatmeal bread and oatmeal flour, watercress and okra, tofu.
So this was his...
Okay, I'm also known as Vegan Dragon, YouTuber.
Applauding you for drinking later.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm known for Vegan Dragon on YouTube, tiny channel. And I've been a fan for you a long time, long before you started talking about veganism. But I saw your debate with Mikhaila Peterson, and I was so disappointed. Like, not only did you say things like talking about like if it's more practical for you to eat meat and call you vegan, you also said that if shooting an elk would reduce suffering, then go ahead and shoot an elk.
Oh no, Vegan Dragon, hell yeah, he got him head on. What's he gonna say?
Vegan for whatever I care. These like reducitarian, utilitarian arguments. But you also named a trait which you can actually bring the other way around. So I want to ask you, what is it that's true of an animal that, if true of a human, would make it okay to remove a human's right to life because it's more practical for a certain individual, and it would also reduce suffering?
In 1 minute and 57 seconds.
I know.
Yeah, a lot of people were disappointed with that conversation. As I said, you've got to be aware of who you're talking to. Mikhaila Peterson's audience are very similar to Jordan Peterson's audience, and I didn't think it'd be very effective communication if we were to get into too much of a debate. And in fact, many of the...
See, this is what was a shame. I heard people saying, okay, well, maybe he was just kind of talking to the right audience. And someone said that a couple of weeks ago, actually, and I thought, you know what, I won't be such a dickhead, okay? I won't, okay? And then actually, I think that, you know, that conversation with Mikhaila really did have an effect on him.
Comments said, what I was essentially going for was the kind of comment that says something like, man, I usually hate vegans, but this guy's all right, you know?
Because the thing is, it is like, what am I trying to say? Statistically speaking, to try and reach common ground with people and try and meet them where they're at can have really positive effects on their association with you, and therefore their ability to actually listen to you. This is, you know, very much the case. So it makes sense, but there's a line to it. You know, he didn't need to say those things. You can appeal to people and make them like you and reach some common ground without saying the shit that Cosmic Sceptic said. 100%.
Something like that. Trying to build a bridge. Mikhaila's coming on my podcast, and I was hoping to actually address these exact problems.
So wait, she's not appeared on his podcast yet, though, right? Or have I completely missed that? Because it'd be really interesting if she's popping up on his podcast as he reveals that he's ex-vegan. That would be very interesting.
When she's on my turf, it's much more of an opportunity to debate this kind of stuff. On the name the trait point...
She's not yet.
The difficulty, I think, here, because...
Yeah, finding common ground is very different from cucking to an audience. Absolutely. There's a way to do it.
You're quite right to point out that... Well, for a start, as I say, I'm interested in the reducing of animal suffering here. So a lot of people said, oh, that's a bit too utilitarian for me. Like you're not really... You disappointed me because you're not sort of basing this on rights. It's like, well, I never did that. And maybe we just have a disagreement about the nature of ethics. If you think animals have a right to life and it's very important to respect that right more than it's important to reduce suffering or something, I'd love to know how it is that you ground rights. What are rights? Where are they? How do they exist? How does a person get them? What has rights and what don't? This kind of stuff. This is important because I don't think that this kind of stuff can apply. I think rights are a useful concept that we use to minimize suffering in the long haul. That is something like rural utilitarianism. And so I made a video a while ago about animals having a right to life in the same way that humans do.
Is PP still in the chat? PP, you still here?
I don't think that they can, because if they did, we'd have to starve ourselves. And the reason for that is that, imagine that situation where I can shoot an elk. Let's imagine that by shooting that elk, and of course this can't be true of like how the whole world eats, it's just this particular situation. I can go and hunt that elk. Well, let's say my other option is to eat some imported vegan food that involves multiple animals dying in the crop death production, and also environmental...
Doesn't he also believe in the cabin in the woods scenario being ethical? Like, can someone refresh my memory? In the video, I think it was about about animals not having rights, I'm pretty sure he conceded that it could be like ethically like a net neutral to kill someone who lived in a cabin in the woods. They didn't know they were going to be killed. Nobody knew they were there. Like, nobody would be affected by their killing. Does anyone remember that? CS still appears to be on the vegan camp outline. And while, to be fair, it's only been a day, so... And those things cost money to change, so... Yeah.
Pollution from it travelling. What's the right thing for me to do then? Is it to eat that elk, or is it to demand that food? Now, for me, it's very simple. I want to have...
Wait, it's not... let's be clear, even in that, eat that elk. No, we're talking about the act of killing the elk. Like, eating someone's flesh, that could have completely different context or entailments. So I don't like it when people do that. I don't like it when people do that.
Least, or the minimal impact on animal suffering that I can. And so if by shooting that elk, I'm going to cause less animal suffering, and less animals are going to die as well, then I think that that's the right thing to do. Whether or not that's the vegan thing to do is another question.
I just don't understand how that's the right thing to do. I can think of like many, like, again, I constantly think of like cars when these sorts of things are brought up. There could be many like instances where like it could be more dangerous to be on a certain part of the road, and it could lead to like accidental deaths or something. So then it could be more ethical for me to just intentionally kill somebody. I just don't know. I just can't, man. Bro, this is philosophical wanking, okay? And like, unfortunately, I love a good philosophical wank, all right? I'm down for it. Pro-fap. Pro-philosophical fap, all right? But when you don't mix, like, real-world implications into it, kind of makes me angry.
I would say that it's not. But the objection might be something like, well, you wouldn't do that to a human being, would you? Well, the thing is, I wouldn't do that to a human being, but I also wouldn't eat vegan food if it involved killing human beings in order to produce crops.
So what would you do then? You'd eat a few humans?
People have pointed out that in crop deaths, it's kind of accidental death rather than intentional.
Wait, what? Oh God! So he's gonna say, okay, well, I would purposefully like kill people then? What the fuck?
Intentionally taking the life of an animal in order to eat food. That's not always the case. We use pesticides. We destroy habitats. You know, farmers will purposefully kill animals to prevent them.
Yeah, and they're not vegan. We don't live in a vegan world. I'm so sorry that we haven't yet like had every single industrial system like fix itself and change itself to consider animals. Like, this is such a carnist thing to do. Oh my God, the industries in this society where stabbing animals is deemed morally acceptable doesn't consider animals. The fucking no shit, bitch! Fucking no shit, that's the problem! Oh my God! And again, what the fuck is this? What is this? So what? So instead you directly kill human beings? What is he even going to address that, actually?
From destroying their crops. And so
what would you do?
If a human being, if the only way for me to eat some crops were for me to go and kill another human being and take their food or something, if that was what was involved in eating food, we've got a choice to make. We either say that human beings have a right to life that we can't violate and therefore we starve ourselves, or we say that we can actually kill that.
This is like such a false dichotomy, though, because we don't starve ourselves. We're talking about if it were humans, right? There was factory farmed humans, or there were crops, and then people sprayed pesticides so that the people wouldn't go near them. Sometimes it killed them. Okay, you're telling me you just buy the factory farmed humans? Didn't you know that we have to first find a solution to end up with 0 deaths of insects and others until we can kill humans and other animals as much as we want? Sorry, Copper, I had no fucking idea, but now I do know. So now it all makes sense. My fucking bad.
Human being because it's a situation of survival. Whichever one you say, I just think you need to be consistent with animals as well. So for me,
That wasn't consistent. That wasn't consistent though, because you're not starving yourself as a vegan. So what the fuck are you? What? It just what? What are you talking about? That wasn't Are you real right now? That wasn't consistent. You just said, "Oh, you have to starve yourself." No, you just weren't prepared to bite that bullet, were you, and say, no, I'd actually just, like, murk these people. Yeah, I'd just pay for these factory-farmed animals. Yeah, I'd just pay for these grass-fed, free-range human beings and, like, pay for someone to put them in a gas chamber. Yeah, no, you're fucking, I'm sick of this now. Right, we're coming to the end, because I'm just sick of you. Alright, and now I'm going to start being mean.
if there is such thing as a right to life that human beings have, what makes something a right is that it's inviolable. That's what a right is. It's a moral principle that cannot be violated. And that means that even if I'm going to starve, I don't get to kill a human being.
Oh yeah, in the elk, it would be hunting down a human being. Yeah, my bad, because we're talking about elk. Yeah, so he would rather hunt down a human being and kill them than run the risk of a human potentially being killed. Oh my god. I'm away.
To eat that food. Okay. Now the question is, do animals have the same right? Do they have that same thing? Well, if they did, it would mean that I couldn't kill animals in the same situation. So that means even if I needed
No
to
jumping in. I need to pee too much. I'm too annoyed. Okay?
I couldn't kill an animal to produce food for me. If that's the case, then we
Like, I just instinctually muted him.
starve to death. Now, you're welcome to choose what you like. Maybe you think that
PD
they
is
do
too
have that
strong.
right to life, but then you're not going to be able to eat even vegan food because you're killing animals, and again, intentionally.
No, because, right, like, even in the system of, like, rights, okay, having situations where individuals could accidentally be killed, like, pesticides don't necessarily kill. They're called pesticides. They keep pests away. So there's different pesticides that you can use. But again, even in this system, like, vegans are not happy with where it's at now. You're not going to find too many vegans who are like, that's absolutely fine. Like, don't consider them in any industry. We just don't want, we don't want, like, animal agriculture. That's it. Like, if, like, animals are granted rights, it will be the case that they are, like, there's literally literature by Fisher and Lamy that demonstrates that there are different ways that you could reduce crop deaths, like indoor farming, vertical farming. There's other, like, deterrents that you can use that mean that crops, crop deaths don't entail as many deaths or stuff like that. Yes, Fisher and Lamy. I forget the title of the study. There is an existence of these alternatives that we can use, but how the fuck are you going to get anyone to consider these rodents and these small animals who are affected by pesticides if people are literally farming and confining animals and then sending them off to be gassed? Fucking cutting off bits of their bodies without anesthetic, treating them like property. It's not going to fucking happen. Vegans aren't saying, you know what, everything is perfect as it is, just, buy plant foods and then we'll all be happy. No, we're talking about animal liberation. We're talking about granting rights to animals that they don't currently have. Like, no shit, animals aren't considered in our society. You fucking ding-dong. You're a ding-dong. No elaboration needed. I don't care what the fuck you have to say. Anything he has to fucking say, okay, is dumb. Okay? Dumb as fuck. Jesus Christ.
In the production of food. And the fact that you're not eating the animals directly that you're killing and they're just dying in the crop production is much the same as the fact that you don't eat the chicken that you're harming to get the egg. It's about harming animals in the production of that food. So
what a ding dong.
What a ding dong. Yeah, thank you so much. Jesus Christ. Thank you, Hawk. Thank you for subscribing. That was brilliant timing, actually. Damn.
I just don't think that this concept of a right to life exists of these animals. And so that would be the trait. It requires a bit more justification, but I'm trying to keep this condensed, but we can talk about this afterwards as well. But I consider rights
Jesus
to be
fucking
a
Christ.
useful shorthand that don't actually exist. They're not real things. The right
Like, even if you have a problem with that, that does not lead to the issue that you're having with it. To this day, I didn't understand it before. I don't understand it now.
to life is a bit like saying the gun is always loaded. It's not. It's not always loaded, but we're going to adopt that into our ethical. We're going to adopt that ethical maxim that the gun is always loaded because it's going to be much better for us in the long run. Rights do the same thing, but I don't think the same thing can be applied to non-human animals for a variety of reasons, including the one that I've just given. But we can talk more about that afterwards. But yeah, I suppose that would be the trick.
I just don't understand how this is the point, because given how the world isn't like a safe place, and blah blah blah, there are human deaths that can happen as a result of a product that you purchase. There is a difference between that and me paying someone to stab somebody else. I just don't. You get me? I just don't.
Thank you.
Oh god, that was pain. What after this? Let's see. Alex and I talked more about it. Have we agreed to talk more about it? Damn! Thank you so much for following over on Twitch. If you don't know, I also stream on Twitch. I did yesterday on Veg Talk. Tell me what you think about the question and what you think about the answer. Okay, let me put this in the chat. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with me. That was pain.